Now, The Hunt Palmer Show. You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Looking down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from Mercedes-Benz at Baton Rouge Studio downtown in the capital city on this Monday. We're brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products. Got Jacob Beck and Cassie Spazzali back there on the ones and twos. Fired up that you're hanging out with us. Hope your work week is off to a good start. We're with you the next 2 hours. Saints get a preseason win. We're talking about it. Blake Baker met with the media over the weekend. We'll talk about some of that. Meet the freshmen coming up in hour number 2. The Olympics have wrapped up, and Sean Fazan is going to join us at 2:30 to talk a little bit of black and gold as they got a win out in Arizona on Saturday night, and we'll get to some of that and some of my thoughts on it in the second segment. I want to kind of break things up, and since we're going to talk Blake Baker sound at 1:30, we'll start with LSU here at the top. We're going to get into this, and I gave a lot of thought yesterday on how exactly I wanted to have this discussion, and so we're going to get into it. I saw some practice this morning, and we'll talk a little bit about all the observations I had there, talk a little bit about what we saw on Saturday, but really I want to start with a big picture. I reached my tipping point on Saturday, but it is a 2-week-long observation, and I'm just going to come out and say it. I think LSU has a huge problem in coverage. A huge problem. That's my opinion. I've been out there for 2 weeks. I've seen one-on-one drills. I've seen 2-on-2 drills, which we saw on Saturday. I've seen 7-on-7. I've seen 11-on-11. And the offense is cooking the defense, by my estimation. On Saturday, we saw an extended drill of 2-on-2. 2 wide receivers to one side of the field in the red zone working against 2 DBs. It was a communication drill. And once again, this is another one of these drills where there is a lot of space for the offense to work. There are no offensive linemen. There are no linebackers. There's no pass rush. This is purely DBs on wide receiver, which does inherently give the wide receiving core an advantage. I understand that. They catch every ball. Every ball. It's like the offense is working on air. And it's not like they're contested catches. They're just wide open and they catch it. And it happens almost every single rep, no matter the drill. I think it's a big problem. It would be one thing if Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas were back and they were doing that. It'd be one thing if it was only Kyron Lacey making plays. It's not. It's Shelton Sampson. It's Kamorian Pimpton. It's Mason Taylor. It's Aaron Anderson. It's Kyle Parr. It's everybody. And I was out there on Saturday, and I'm watching this drill, and it's a touchdown every time. And then I started watching O-line versus D-line, and they went and did some 7-on-7 on another field. And as I was walking back after that drill was completed, I ran into Glenn West of 24/7, who'll be with us tomorrow. And he goes, I realize the offense has won, but I don't think they've won any as significant ones. They just won this one. And I didn't even see that, but it sounds like Nussmeier completed everything. I read Matthew Bruni's practice report on 3. He had Nussmeier at 8 of 9. It feels like a big, big problem to me. I'm fully available on Labor Day to come in here and do the show after LSU's held USC to 17 points and go, yeah, I missed on that. I was wrong. They did a really good job. But it feels like right now, on the 12th of August, when I watch practice, that LSU can't cover. That's what it feels like to me. We walked in the gate today. They were doing one-on-ones. Again, I want to keep adding this caveat. I don't think I'm repeating myself to a fault here. This drill far benefits the offense. The quarterback's got no pass rush, nobody in front of him. He can step right into it. He knows there's no threat of being hit. There's no safety help. There's no commotion. It's just the receiver running, he knows where he's going, and the DB does it, and that is geared to the offense. But Glenn West and Matt Moscona sat there and charted all 25 reps, and the defense won 3. Slants, double moves, simple go routes, just offense just cooking them. I mean, I made a note that Ashton Stamps got a pass breakup on C.J. Daniels. It was on an out route, and it was a nice play, and Daniels dropped it. But then 2 reps later, Daniels goes against Stamps and runs right past him on a double move for a 50-yard touchdown. And trust me, I am not hammering on Ashton Stamps here. He's the best corner they got. But no matter what corner they put out there, it feels like to me, the wide receivers are just wrecking them every single time. Now, we'll say this, and this gives me a little bit of solace. This is why I'm not sitting here saying, this is a 6-win football team. They can't cover. Like, I'm not saying that because I'll tell you this. The little bit of 11 on 11 that we have been able to see, and we don't see very much of that. Most of what we see is a lot of one-on-one stuff, whether it's in the pass rush on the line of scrimmage or in the secondary with the wide receivers. A lot of it's one-on-one, but we've seen a little bit of 11 on 11. When they get into 11 on 11, the defense does a better job, and that is to be expected, obviously. You create a pass rush. There's more commotion on the field. You've got help. You can disguise coverages. You can do a lot more things 11 on 11 than you can one-on-one. But in some instances, the game does turn into one-on-one, and I just don't feel like LSU has the guys to go out there and cover. That concerns me greatly. A lot of people were terrified about the defensive front, and I've got my concerns there as well, but Jacobian Guillory has had a really nice camp. And I was charting pass rush drills today. Savion Jones got by Will Campbell on a speed rush. It was a great move. Braden Swinson had a couple of really good reps. He beat Emory Jones on a speed rush. Then he bullied Ori Williams back there and did a good job. I've seen some really good stuff from the defensive front. Kalaj Cobbins looks fantastic as a true freshman. He's done a great job in pass rush drills. Deshaun Womack had a nice win today. And I think LSU's going to be good at linebacker. I've said that a number of times. Corner is a problem to me right now, and it's a big one in this era of football. If I thought everybody was going to run the triple option or the veer, we wouldn't really worry about this. But everybody lines up in the spread with 4 wide receivers, puts all your cornerbacks out there, and creates a ton of space. And I just don't know if LSU right now is equipped to fix that. I could be overreacting. I'll leave that door open. But I'm here from 1 to 3 to go out to practice and tell you what I see. And what I see when I go out to practice is a wide receiving core and tight end group that is running circles around this secondary. That's what I'm seeing. I think Corey Raymond's a great defensive backs coach. I think he's developed a lot of really good players. Some of them had 5 stars next to their name in high school. Some of them had 3 stars next to their name in high school. He's developed some really, really good ones. But when you start talking, and what do we talk about in August in Baton Rouge? We don't talk about, well, can they get to the ReliaQuest Bowl again? That's not the conversation. The conversation in August around here, almost every single year, maybe not 2 years ago after the bottom fell out and there was a new coach and they had just had 39 scholarship players, maybe not 2 years ago, but every year independent of that for the last 20, the discussion has been about, can you win the West? I know that doesn't exist anymore, but that's what the discussion has been. Can you get to the SC Championship game and win it? And the discussion right now, to just about every person who watches LSU football and cheers for LSU football, is, can they get to the playoff? And to me, that's talking about winning a championship. You're talking about championships. And to win championships and compete for championships, you've got to have a championship-level roster. And when I start going through the defensive backs that have played here, when LSU competes for championships, and I start rattling off the names of the guys that are going to be out there on this team, do you think they add up? I have trouble with that. The last great LSU team had Christian Fulton and Derek Stingley and Grant Delpit running around in the secondary. Now, the team 2 years ago didn't have a bunch of pros. But Mekhi Garner and Jarrett Bernard-Converse and Greg Brooks and Joe Fouché, Major Burns, did a pretty good job. Now, you could convince me that this group of guys can play to that level. I just don't know that I'm seeing it right now. I promise I do not mean to come on here and throw cold water over the entire football season. That's not why I'm here. But I am here to tell you what I think. And when I go out there and I'm watching these drills, it is a mismatch. And my hope is that LSU's got another elite offense. I hope that's true. And I think Nussmeier's looked really good. And I think Lacey's looked exceptional. And I think Chris Hilton's had a great camp. I think Mason Taylor's an all-SEC type player that could be an all-American type player. And maybe I'm skewed because of that. That's what we were talking about last year. They've got time to improve. They've got a really good coach, and they've got some good athletes. I'm concerned. I'm officially concerned based on what I see when I go out there. I'll leave you with this, which diminishes my point a little bit, but you can call it leaving the door open. You can call it, backing off your point if you want. But I'll reiterate this piece. They're better when it gets to 11 on 11, and maybe that's a better representation of what we really need to be evaluating. Maybe those drills with 2-on-2 and 1-on-1 are just so heavily skewed toward the offense that it's going to look that way no matter where you go in camp. Maybe that's the case. And maybe you have a little bit of PTSD from watching this last year and then seeing what we saw on the field in the games. Maybe when you get a better pass rush, you get 11 guys out there instead of 2. Maybe when you do that, this equalizes and my analysis is incorrect. And trust me, I want badly for my analysis to be incorrect. You all are very well aware of that. I would much rather LSU win games and me look like an idiot than me get this right and LSU lose 5 games, okay? Let's get that abundantly clear. But I'm also not going to go out there and watch that and then come in here and go, man, this offense rocks. Defense giving up studs, fine. This offense is so good. Going to be number 1 offense in the country. I'm just not. I'm going to tell you what I think from going out there. I think they got some issues in the secondary. Hopefully, I'm wrong. We'll see. We'll hear from Blake Baker coming up in 15 minutes, kind of get some of his thoughts on it as he met with the media a little bit earlier. And we'll talk to Glenn West about it tomorrow on the show and kind of get his thoughts. And you'll certainly hear from Matt coming up in a couple of hours. He's been out there. He was out there Saturday, was out there today. He was charting them as well. So you'll get other perspectives. You know where I stand at this point. So we'll talk a little bit more about that moving forward. Our Monday show is brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products. When we come back, Saints got a preseason win. What were my takeaways from that? We'll do that next.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show.
Visit LeBair's Baton Rouge Casino this summer for exciting live sports action. LeBair's has the biggest screens around, and ESPN Bet is live in Louisiana. Plus, Penn Play Rewards members can win up to $500 in Penn cash every single week. Visit PennPlaySports.com/cover5 today and register for your chance to play and win. Not a member? Get the Penn Play app today. LeBair's Baton Rouge Casino is your live sports headquarters. Bring your crew for all the action. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 877-770-STOP.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Farming is a way of life for us. It's not something we get up in the morning and dread going do. It's just something we go to bed at night looking forward to getting up to go do. John Deere equipment is what we as farmers strive to have. It's in your blood, it's in your veins. It's just a part of who you are. Green is what we want to be in. The other tractors were acquired to patch it up to get to where you want to be. Where we want to be is in John Deere. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 7.
Moscona inviting you to join us for Monday's AFR, presented by Relief Windows. The Tigers kick off a new week of fall camp. We'll have a practice report, and we'll recap Saints-Cardinals from the preseason. Join us Monday, 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products.
Here's some sound from LSU defensive coordinator Blake Baker coming up here in 15 minutes. But let's talk a little bit of Saints here. Back on Saturday night, the Saints played their first preseason game of 2024 and got a last-second win there. Saints 16, Arizona 14. I'll be up front talking about this game. Like it's tough to pull anything of real substance from those 4 quarters. Like you could try and you could make, try to create some narratives and points, but there's not a ton on the bone from this. A lot of guys who were out there feel like kind of long shots to make the team, especially in the second half. How much do you really want to put into the backup quarterback situation? I thought both guys played pretty well, but is that a huge deal for the Saints? Really what matters is how well Derek Carr plays, and we got 2 series of that. So I'm not going to overreact to anything. I thought it was a really cool story that Charlie Smith hit the game winner. It's a guy who didn't even really know what football was a few years ago, and now he's out there in a preseason game kicking the game winner, and I thought that was a cool story. I thought Spencer Rattler did a nice job to get the team down there. You realize that he's playing within rules that he's never played before. You were getting, they stopped the deal where the last year, actually, so I shouldn't say that. Last year in college football, they did where you got a first down, the clock didn't stop. So he has done that before, but in the last 2 minutes, it does. I thought he did a good job in the two-minute drill, and I thought that Jake Haener was pretty good, especially the long pass to A.T. Perry was obviously the highlight play for him, but both guys looked pretty good in the game. I'll say on the starters, like, the offense looked a little clunky. Derek Carr, kind of a couple of check downs, some misfires, a couple of quick punts. A little clunky, but, look, last year they were a well-oiled machine in the one drive they had in the preseason, and they came out and weren't very good on offense for the first month. So, again, not that big a deal. I thought probably the most noteworthy thing for me watching the game were Trevor Penning's bad reps. He doesn't lose every rep. It's not like he can't do it ever. But the reps that are bad are just so bad. I mean, just absolute whiffs out there on an edge rusher. He gets put on his back on one of the plays. It just looks like a huge man who's not really sure what he's supposed to do. And I just don't know if in year 3, if that's fixable. And I fully endorse putting him out there for another 3 quarters of preseason football and trying, but it feels like at this point, watching what you watch, that this is not going to work. And it's not because he never gets it right. It's because too often he has a really bad rep. And those reps at that spot with Derek Carr at quarterback, are drive killers. There could be game changers if there's a fumble involved. Because Carr's not going to be able to evade that rush. If you let a rusher just go because you whiffed out there at right tackle, that's going to be a big-time loss. And it's not like that happens once. It happens 2, 3, 4 times. It's just a bad look. And they've got some veterans in that group, potentially Landon Young, or what they did last year is to try a guy off the street like they did, and they kind of patched it together and they got it to be functional. But I just think that you're giving Trevor Penning opportunities right now because of the draft pick that he was selected with, but the writing feels like it's on the wall. It just does. So that was probably my biggest takeaway from the game. The Saints did not do a ton of motioning and shifting pre-snap. I think that's going to change big time in the opener. That's where I felt things were really super vanilla, and that's fair. The game that matters is against Carolina, and I think that you'll see an entirely different looking operation against Carolina. That's why when I look at the first team offense going out there and stalling 2 drives quickly, I don't really see that as a huge negative. I don't think they're running the full offense. I think what's important is to get Clint Kubiak on the headset, to make sure Derek Carr understands the terminology, to get that relayed to the guys, and to get everybody set up and lined up and ready to move forward. The execution of it was not flawless, but I just don't really care because I don't think they were running fully what they're going to be running when you put in all the motions and the shifts, and then you've got your first team guys out there. Olave makes one play with Carr, and those 2 guys kind of sit down. We wanted to see what the third receiver situation would look like. Certainly A.T. Perry made a big play down the sideline. He led the Saints with 4 catches. It was nice to see Dallin Holker get in there and make 3 catches as well. And then you've got a bunch of guys who made catches that I don't even know if are going to make the roster. I don't know if Marquez Callaway is going to make the roster. I don't think Jacob Kibodi is going to make the roster. We'll see. Kevin Austin, the guy they signed, I don't know that he'll make the roster. Jamal Williams and Jordan Mims were out there, but it's just not a lot of guys that are going to be impactful players on this team by my eye. The 2 guys that I'm hopeful for because of kind of where we've seen them moving toward, I'm hopeful that A.T. Perry becomes their number 3. I'm hopeful that Dallin Holker makes the roster and becomes that real tight end threat, certainly in the absence early of Juwan Johnson, and then we'll see what the future holds for Foster Moreau. But those 2 guys I thought were worth watching, and from Perry to make the big 58-yarder was cool. I thought the Saints were good on defense. You're facing a backup quarterback there. You got a whole lot of Desmond Ridder and Clayton Tune in this game. And so I don't know how much I can take away from that. I did think Willie Gay was present. I thought he was involved in a lot of plays and kind of flashed a little bit. I saw that. I liked it. Brian Brzee was in there and mixing some things up. I think he's got a real bright future. I thought the Saints defense was pretty good. But once again, to get into this, I thought it was pretty insignificant go. If the starters get a little bit more time and we see a little bit more of the window dressing in the motion, maybe I'll draw a little bit more from it. But I think this is a lot about seeing what guys are going to be on the practice squad and what guys are going to be let go. And then I thought, again, the real cool story that you get a guy who had no intention at all of probably playing football 5 or 6 years ago making the game winner, I thought was pretty cool. And the Saints were clean in the field goal game with Groupie and Smith. So that's a good spot to start. I didn't have massive sweeping takeaways. Beck, I don't know if you watched the game or had any takeaways of your own that I'm completely missing here, but I'm not going to try to make something out of something that's not there.
Yeah, I didn't get to watch. I saw the highlights, but it's the first preseason game. Derek Carr had 2 drives. Didn't look great, albeit, like you said, I'm sure they're not exactly going to be showing too much of their hand when it comes to the actual offense they'll be running in the first regular season game. So I'm not going to take too much from it. I will say it doesn't inspire too much confidence, the way the offense played, but at the same time, it's a preseason game. I'm not going to take a lot from it. But I will say it's not like they went out there and put up 30 points.
Yeah, I mean they did that in that first drive last year.
Exactly.
And oh my God, this is awesome. And then it was a disaster. I'm like I said, on the offense, I don't really care. On Penning, I'm watching going, this isn't it.
Not good.
This is not it. And they're going to try, but I think that I'm ready to call this one. I'm ready to make the declaration like this is just not going to work. This is a draft pick that they missed on, and it's not like it's not like Peyton Turner. It's like, well, maybe, but he's never healthy. Like Trevor Penning is healthy. He was healthy last year, and he can't play. He just can't do it, and that's really disappointing because that's a big talent and could have been your franchise left tackle for very cheap is a great luxury to have. It just didn't work. Now you're trying it again, and Fuaga looked better certainly than Penning, and I'm optimistic about what he can be. But I'm ready to wave the flag on Penning and say, look, you're gonna. They need to be sure they are grooming somebody else over the next 3 weeks because they may put him out there for the first game, but they put him out there for the first game last year, and by this middle of the third game, we knew we had to do something different. I think that day is coming at some point for the black and gold. So we'll see. The news out of Saints camp today, they were supposed to have joint practice with San Francisco, which I think would be a great opportunity because San Francisco's got such a good roster, great opportunity to get some really good reps against a good team, but San Francisco's just too beat up. They just can't go through those practices, so the Saints and 49ers agreed mutually to disband the joint practices. The Saints and San Francisco will just work out individually, and then they'll get together and play a preseason game. But bummer for the Saints not to get that opportunity against a really good roster to kind of see how some guys stack up. But it's the way things go sometimes at this point in the season. You got to prioritize health above just about everything, and that's what the 49ers are going to do. We'll talk to Sean Fazan, see if he had any more takes on the Saints preseason opener, and certainly what he's seen over the last week or so since we talked with him last from out there in Irvine. We'll talk to Sean Fazan coming up in an hour. When we come back, Blake Baker, LSU defensive coordinator, met with the media Saturday, and we'll go into some of his thoughts there. That's next.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show.
Audio, video, security solutions, avssla.com. The customer service you get with audio, video, security solutions is absolutely phenomenal. We've had 2 issues at our house that we didn't quite understand, and we've got Mitchell Fisher's cell phone, like I give you every single day. And my wife just gave him a call. He said, yeah, I'll be there this afternoon. And he shows up this afternoon, and it's fixed in 20 minutes. Because generally speaking, he knows exactly what he's doing. We know none of what he's doing, but the customer service is just absolutely fantastic. That's why it's great to work with a small local company like Audio Video Security Solutions. They're rapidly growing, but they're still very much a small Baton Rouge operation. Mitchell's cell phone number that you need to call him to get him to help you with your audio, your video, your security, 225-439-7920. Again, 225-439-7920. They were the People's Choice Award winner for Best Vendor at the Parade of Homes earlier this year. Just a fantastic company. They've got great knowledge of all the incredible things they can do for you, from your surround sound, your television screens, all your security, the cameras that go with it, the burglar alarm, all that stuff are things that they can handle at Audio Video Security Solutions. I tell you this every day, but go check them out on Instagram. Some of their great work is easier to see there than maybe listening to me tell you about it. AVSS_BR is their handle on Instagram. And as I tell you the website every single day, Audio Video Security Solutions at avssla.com.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $20,000 off new 23 Ram 1500 trucks. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $20,000 off the powerful Ram truck. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
It's an everyday thing here. We work horses in the mornings and we work on the property during the day, and without these John Deere tractors, it'd almost be impossible to keep up with the place. I've dealt with some of the other colors and stuff, and I never really got the response back that I get from John Deere, We really enjoy dealing with Sunshine. They're good people. They always check on us and make sure our equipment's running, and we love them. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few.
On Tuesday's OTB, bring you the latest from LSU Tiger Training Camp. Plus, what did the Saints need to do in Game 2 to restore your hope? And our guy, Nick Underhill, talks of black and gold from California. Off the bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products.
Shout out to Trey Veal and the folks at Gulf Coast Office Products for printing, scanning, copying needs. GCOPnet.com. GCOPnet.com. Blake Baker, in his first year as defensive coordinator here at LSU, got quite a job on his hands to try to kind of reestablish the identity of LSU defense after it was lost last year. I think that was safe to say. And Baker met with the media back on Saturday and kind of gave an update on quite a few aspects of his unit. And the first was just talking about how the defense performed in Saturday's practice.
You know, that's where we got to get more consistency. When we do our job, we're pretty good. Today, we ended up giving up a deep ball from a coverage bust, and then we had a big run, hit up the A-gap from an assignment standpoint. So when we play it right, we're pretty good. When we don't, we got to get it on the ground from the secondary. So, again, looking for marked improvement. These next 6 days, we have a recovery day. Then we go 6 days straight. I think the cream will start rising to the crop, and we'll figure out. Again, we're mixing and matching a lot of guys right now, and so it's hard to pinpoint who on that play or who on that play, necessarily didn't do their job. But, overall, we just got to be more consistent as a unit. In today's game, you can't just play with 11 players. You got to have 22, 25, 26, especially with the opportunity now with a playoff. So we're looking to build depth right now, and then by the next 6 days, we're going to start paring it down and figuring out who's our guy.
I would love it if LSU could really be in the right place all the time. That would be a drastic step up from last year, where there were just significant busts all the time, both in the run fits and in coverage. It's just big play after big play after big play. The first thing here is they've got to make sure they can get everybody on the same page and where they're supposed to be. Baker called his scheme player-friendly on Saturday, and this was kind of his thought on that.
I think our scheme is very user-friendly, very player-friendly. We really do work hard sometimes, it takes some time, but we do a really good job, I think, as a staff, compartmentalizing things, putting things in buckets, trying to give them some word association so it's clicking with them pretty quickly. And I think our guys are playing really fast, sometimes too fast, and that's sometimes part of our inconsistency right now. But in all honesty, that's okay. Sometimes you'd rather have to pull the chain back than have to kick them on the booty on the way out the door. So we just got to slow them down in some instances. But I think our kids are playing fast again. I think it really has to do with the way we implement the scheme, and then I think we got really good, teachers. As when you look at our coaching staff,
they've got to be able to play fast because there are going to be a number of teams on this schedule that are going to play fast. I mean, Lincoln Riley's going to play pretty quick. Lane Kiffin's going to play very fast. I think Kalen DeBoer, with a veteran quarterback, very likely will move things along pretty quickly. Billy Napier likes to play fast, and he's got a veteran quarterback as well. So I think you're going to see some tempo. I'm not sure what you're going to see from like Texas A&M. I'm not sure what Colin Klein's MO is, but he's got a veteran quarterback now in his third year playing. I don't know what South Carolina is going to look like with a young quarterback, but there are some guys on the schedule that are going to move quickly, and LSU's going to have to react to that and make sure you're in the right spot and make the plays from there. So that's interesting that he was speaking to that. And he later on talked about the identity of the defense.
What I want it to be or what we are right now? Right now, I'll be honest, we're inconsistent. What I want it to be, if we do our job, I think we got a chance to be pretty good. I really do. I think we have all the pieces in place to have a good defense. What I want to see is a little more player-led accountability and guys just doing their job on a consistent basis. If we do that, we can have a good year. We're not there yet, but I think we have really good speed. I think we're physical. We're still improving as a tackling unit right now, but we have shown improvement from the spring. I think our guys really work hard at it. You know, you don't have a lot of opportunities to tackle live throughout fall camp, but we work hard on it, you know, through drill work and whatnot. But I think we have a chance to be pretty good. We just got to be more consistent.
And that's the deal. They're giving up some big plays, and you know that's to be expected. You're playing a lot of snaps, and you've got a pretty good offense on the other side, and they are giving up some big plays. Big plays in the passing game. You mentioned a big long run up the A gap. John Emery hit what probably would have been a home run over the weekend when we were out there. Like it was. They're giving up some big plays, and that's something that obviously the defense is going to want to try to pare down on for sure. I talked a lot in the first segment. A lot of you probably heard it, but I talked a lot in the first segment about my concerns in coverage. And Ashton Stamps is going to be one of the first guys out there. We have been out there now for 2.5 weeks, and we have seen Ashton Stamps and Sage Ryan pretty much exclusively taking the first-team cornerback reps. There really hasn't been anybody else that's kind of stepped in there. I know we talked at the beginning about Sage Ryan cross-training safety and corner. I haven't seen him take one snap at safety. He's been exclusively at corner all fall after being exclusively at safety all during spring. So Stamps is going to be one of the guys that they put out there and trust to cover, and Blake Baker talked about the sophomore corner.
Ashton's worked his tail off to get where he's at. You know, he's a guy that, you know, if I was up here in the summer doing whatever, every time I go to the indoor, he was on the jug machine, or he was working on the bands, or he was working his footwork. So you know, credit to what he's been able to do. You know, he's still a young player, you know, and I challenge him every day. I'm looking for more consistency out of Ashton. He has stepped his game up, but he's not where we need him to be overall, and that's not a knock. But we got 2 more weeks to get him to be what he is capable of being, you know, from a mental consistency standpoint.
That's been an echo with the consistency with Stamps. Brian Kelly mentioned this a couple of weeks ago. He said, look, we're looking for consistency. He made a really nice pass breakup. The next rep, a ball went over his head. I told you at the top of the show today, when we were out there today, he got a pass breakup on C.J. Daniels on an out route, made a really good play on it. The next rep, C.J. Daniels hit a double move and went right by him for a long touchdown. He shows you the flashes of the guy that he can be, but you also see flashes of big plays that are coming right there. And he's the best coverage corner guy they've got out there. I think that's been pretty evident. They've got P.J. Woodland and Sage Ryan out there taking some reps, and Jair Brown and Jair Brown, J.K. Johnson are taking some reps as well. But Stamps is probably the best guy that they've got. We thought there was a chance that Zy Alexander could be the best guy that they had, but he obviously tore his ACL last year in the Army game, and he's kind of been coming back. He's out there. He's got a big brace on, and he's not necessarily going through all of the drills, and Blake Baker talked about trying to ease him back.
It's hard with ACLs to put like an exact timeline on it, because a lot of times, you know, they might be healed physically, and then it's just the mental piece of it, of being able to change direction, a bit, you know, taking a hit on it. I think he hit over 20 the other day for the first time, kind of got his legs tangled up in a deep post the other day and popped right up. So I've been happy. Again, I don't want to put a timeline and say this is when we're expecting him back, but I didn't have necessarily an expectation going into fall camp, but I would say he's exceeded probably what I thought he would do.
I am curious about how this plays out with Zy Alexander, because it looks right now that he's a long way from being able to go out there and play full speed. And so I don't know that he's going to be ready to go against USC. I don't know that he's going to be ready to go against South Carolina or UCLA. I don't know if he's going to be ready to go against Ole Miss. He might be ready to go for USC. Like, I don't know. And what I also don't know is what it means when he comes back. Does that mean he's the second corner and Sage goes back to safety? Does it mean he's second team to Sage? Does it mean that he plays the nickel? I just don't really know what the future holds there, and we can't know because we're not going to get that information from the coaching staff, and he's not doing enough in practice for us to figure that out. There just are no reps where he goes out there and runs with the ones. And if he did, then I'd watch where Sage Ryan went, and if he was, you know, I don't know what that means for Zy Alexander. What I do know is right now, if they played a game tonight, he wouldn't be out there. And I feel like it's probably the inverse of what I thought. I thought John Emery may take a longer time, and Zy Alexander would be back. Instead, Zy Alexander is still easing in, and John Emery is fully back. We heard from Brian Kelly back at Media Days in the middle of July, like, yeah, Zy Alexander will be a full go for camp, but he's not a full go for camp in terms of what he's doing. He may be fully cleared, but he's still trying to work himself up to being a corner. LSU can take all the bodies they can get at cornerback. Last one here is kind of veering off of all that we just talked about, and instead just going straight to Harold Perkins, who is the best player on this defense, and Blake Baker spoke to that.
He's doing an unbelievable job. Harold Perkins right now is playing on fire. Again, have a lot on his plate mentally. We have packages where we're moving him all around, so he's not just playing on the inside, but he's fitting the run as well as anybody that we have at linebacker right now. I think our linebackers are doing a good job overall fitting the run, but very, very pleased with Harold and really his development. Again, you talk about from where we started this thing at the beginning of spring to where he is now, it's night and day, and he's an ascending player. I really think he's not even scratching the surface still of where he's going to be. So I look forward to, every single week him improving, but very, very happy with what he's doing right now.
Don't you just feel like Blake Baker spent a lot of time between January and today figuring out where to move the Harold Perkins chess piece? Like that's got to have been a huge emphasis for him when thinking about this 2024 season. And you can see some of the reps from practice that have been caught on film that have gone to social media. Perkins fitting gaps in the run, making plays in the middle of the field. Like, we all think of Harold Perkins lining up on the edge and coming off the corner like a bat out of hell. Like, that's what you think of when you think of Harold Perkins. But there's got to be more to that game, and it feels like he's finally unlocked that. And I think Blake Baker probably deserves a good bit of credit for that. We've all talked about the incredible transformation that Blake Baker made with Damone Clark. And if he can take Damone Clark and get that out of him, Harold Perkins has a much higher upside than even that. And questions, just how good can he be? And it feels like he's done a really good job. I've talked a lot over the last 42 minutes about how concerned I am with LSU's secondary. However, I do think the linebackers are going to be good, and I'm starting to gain a little bit of confidence on some of the defensive linemen in the camps that they have had. But Perkins appears to be an absolute star. So that is really good news, and you can kind of hear that in Blake Baker's voice when he talks about Perk. They're gonna get the most out of him this year, and that's a very, very exciting thing if you're LSU and looking for a resurgence of that defense. Monday show is brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products. We'll step aside, take a time out. When we come back, there's a story that happened last night into this morning that I feel like 98% of you are unaware of, but I found it outrageous and kind of hilarious, and we're going to talk about it coming up next.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show.
Boudreaux's Electrical Services. Give yourself the peace of mind of knowing that you're not going to lose power in the event of a storm. Whether it's one of these afternoon storms that comes through and just knocks your power out for a couple hours, or it's one of those hurricanes that we always know is on the horizon. May not be anything right there right now, but this part of the world, you're going to be affected sooner or later. Give yourself the peace of mind of knowing that even in that instance, you're not going to lose power because you'll have that Generac home standby generator right there. You start the process by giving them a call, 985-397-1562, 985-397-1562. They'll send a full-time Boudreaux's employee to your house. They'll understand what it is that you need, how much square footage do you have, okay, what do you need powered in the event of a loss, okay, this is the kind of generator that you're going to need. And every generator that they sell you is going to come with a 7 to 10 year warranty. 7 to 10 years of peace of mind, knowing that when the power goes out, your generator is going to come on and you'll be good to go. No coming back to a 97-degree house in the dark. Nope. No fridge and freezer that you're going to lose everything in. Nope. You don't have to worry about that when you get a Generac home standby generator from the folks at Boudreaux's Electrical. Check them out online. Brand new website. Great place to request a quote as well. Boudreaux'Electrical.com.
Get the 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge app powered by Bayou Ford and tap the microphone icon to send us your thoughts in an audio message. Your message could be played on air during Off the Bench with Esther and T-Bob, The Hunt Palmer Show, and after further review with Matt Moscone.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $20,000 off new 23 Ram 1500 trucks. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $20,000 off the powerful Ram truck. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after-hours emergency. The light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
The best kept secret.
Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Monday's AFR, presented by Relief Windows. The Tigers kick off a new week of fall camp. We'll have a practice report, and we'll recap Saints-Cardinals from the preseason. Join us Monday, 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products.
Printing, scanning, copying, Gulf Coast Office Products is your one-stop shop. They've got all the capabilities and resources that you need to service you anywhere in the state of Louisiana, up to Shreveport, down to New Orleans, of course, right here in the capital city of Baton Rouge. Got $1 million worth of inventory right here in their Baton Rouge warehouse. And they've also small enough to where you're going to have a great relationship with your customer service rep, whether it's Trey Beal or anybody over there at Gulf Coast Office Products. If you never thought about what it is that you need in your printer, copier, scanner, based on the industry that you work in, you just kind of said, oh, well, this is the cheapest one, I'll take that. Just, you might want to give Gulf Coast Office Products a call, because Trey Beal's got clients in every single vertical of work, and he'll know what your needs are and what best fits your needs from a printing, scanning, copying perspective. They handle us here at Guarantee Media, but whether you're in banking, healthcare, education, whatever the case may be, they can help you at Gulf Coast Office Products. GCOPnet.com is the website. All right, I don't know if y'all saw this story, and there may be a sizable portion of the audience that is not completely locked in on this, and I get it, but I found this to be absolutely insane and kind of humorous, so we're going to talk about it. The Wyndham Championship on the PGA Tour got a ton of rain last week, 6 inches of rain. And the grounds crew and the tournament staff did an amazing amount of work to get that course and site to be playable over the weekend. and they got tee times backed up. They couldn't finish because of darkness and weather, and they ended up having to finish round 2 on Sunday, start round 3 on Sunday, complete it, and then play round 4 and try to get it in before dark. They had to finish round 2 and play through round 4 in one day. And what happened was the final 2 groups were on the golf course, and Aaron Rai was leading by a shot. And he made a birdie on the 18th hole to go up 2 ahead of the guy behind him. And it was getting real dark. Well, Matt Kuchar is out of the tournament. He's in 12th. He's in the last group. He runs up to the 18th tee, puts a tee in the ground, and hooks his drive into the garbage. But he started the hole. That means he can finish the hole and doesn't have to come back tomorrow because of darkness. Well, his playing partner, who has to hole out from the fairway to extend and go to a playoff, tees off, hits it in the fairway, and then hits his second shot up there into the bunker. So Aaron Rai has won this golf tournament. Matt Kuchar, meanwhile, who's in 12th, decides, I'm done for the night. I'm not going to play anymore. I'm coming back tomorrow. Well, the 2 guys in his group didn't care. They finished the hole in the dark, basically. So the result of this is the tournament's over. Aaron Rai has won the tournament. And Matt Kuchar goes home, goes to sleep, and then comes back for an 8 o'clock restart this morning by himself. By himself. No other players. Everyone else in the field had finished. But Kuchar, who was in a bad mood apparently because he hit a bad tee shot off of 18 that was kind of hitting into the group ahead of him, but he's trying to get it out there so he could finish the hole. But then he was mad that nobody told him that they were still in the fairway, and so he kind of looked like a jerk. And then all of a sudden he's like, well, I'm done. So Matt Kuchar came back and finished the tournament today by himself. He hit it on the green, chipped up, and putted for par by himself.
But you're missing something, Hunt. He actually, since his tee shot was so far left, he actually, when he first got to the course,
he get temporary?
He asked for TIO, temporary immovable object relief.
This is nuts. Like, here are my questions. Here are my questions with this, because every other player was gone. Did they have to open player dining this morning? Was breakfast available?
That's the thing. I wonder.
Did they have to have a parking lot attendant?
Yeah.
Did they have to have ticket takers?
The media had to stay.
Was the driving range open?
Yeah.
CBS was gone, but the ShotLink team had to go out there to log his shots. Like, everyone's gone. All Kuchar had to do was play 2 shots in the dark and go home. Yep. And he came out today. Now, if he had to hole out from the fairway to try to get into a playoff, it'd be one thing. He's in 12th place, and he can't make the FedEx Cup. He's made $60 million on the course in his career. Like, you could try to tell me that the difference between par and bogey was like $80,000, and that's what he came out to do. But when you've made $60 million in on-course earnings, and who knows how much else in terms of endorsements, he's made $200 million. And you're going to come out there and sleep on it so you can come out by yourself and finish? It took him 6 minutes. This was a 6-minute morning for him. And did he go to the range and hit wedges?
Yeah, apparently he did get a short warm-up in. But also, if it only took him 6 minutes to finish, is it he really couldn't have just finished that hole?
Of course he could have.
6 minutes.
And again, if this was a 22-year-old battling for every dollar to keep his card, like, I might have some sympathy for him. This is 46-year-old Matt Kuchar, who's a complete non-factor in the world of golf now, finished the tournament. These groundskeepers worked painstaking hours to get the course playable so they could finish on Sunday. Then they had to come back Monday morning.
I will say, I've never really liked Matt Kuchar very much. He had that incident where he won a tournament in Mexico and when he gave his caddy $5,000. But he did apologize afterwards, saying, he didn't want to be that guy, but apologies to the tournament and, everything like that.
Didn't want to be that. He also said that the reason he did it was because he wanted his playing partner that was in his group to understand he had the ability to stop and come back.
Yeah.
But then when he plays on,
he still finished.
You play on.
Right. And also he says that he wanted to finish too the next day to make sure he could keep his tie for 12th finish, because it moved him up 10 spots to 103 in the FedEx Cup playoffs, which apparently he needs to remain in the top 125 to keep his tour card for next year. But the chances, all the guys that are going to be playing in the playoffs are probably ranked higher than him. So the chances of him going down are not very high. So at the end of the day, it's still not making much sense.
It was insane.
Yeah.
You just finish. We've all finished rounds of golf in the dark before. Now, I realize that I didn't have $58,000 or whatever it is on the line between par and bogey, but he doesn't need $58,000.
No, he's fine.
He got in the private plane net jets and flew home after this morning. Like, it's just a completely foreign sub. This is just, it was nuts to me. I could not believe I was seeing that from Matt Kuchar. That's it for hour number 1. We're brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products. When we come back in hour number 2, we'll meet the freshmen, got a little Olympics talk, and we'll talk to Sean Fazan about the Saints' preseason win. That's all in hour number 2. Come back after Sports Center. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our #1 product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Farming is a way of life for us. It's not something we get up in the morning and dread going do. It's just something we go to bed at night looking forward to getting up to go do. John Deere equipment is what we as farmers strive to have. So it's in your blood, it's in your veins. It's just a part of who you are. Green is what we want to be in. The other tractors were acquired to patch it up to get to where you want to be. Where we want to be is in John Deere. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi, breaking NFL news. ESPN's Adam Schefter reports edge rusher Hassan Reddick, acquired by the Jets from the Eagles this offseason, officially requested a trade. He's been holding out for a new contract. 2 days after receiver Marquise Brown separated a shoulder in the preseason opener against the Jags, an update from Chiefs coach Andy Reid.
Hollywood, they were able to get the joint back into place without surgery, which is a positive. And then we'll just see on the recovery. He's back in Kansas City now. He stayed over in Jacksonville till they got that thing situated. He's going to be back, and we're pulling for him to, get back, obviously.
Brown's status for the regular season opener uncertain. The Chiefs did add him this offseason, expecting him to improve their wide receiver play, which was disappointing last season. Giants receiver Malik Neighbors' low ankle sprain is considered day-to-day. The ankle's not believed to be fractured. The Browns plan for quarterback Deshaun Watson to play in their final preseason game. It would be his first game action since undergoing season-ending shoulder surgery last November.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy. Coming up Tuesday, I'll tell you if a healthy Anthony Richardson will do enough to make the Colts a playoff contender. It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I direct your attention to something quite extraordinary?
Now, the Hunt Palmer Show. The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Number 2, Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, presented by Gulf Coast Office Products. Hope your work week is off to a good start. Most of you got the kiddos in school. Maybe a little bit of routine starting to creep up here as we inch toward the fall football season. 3 weeks away for us. We got 3 weeks of shows to do before LSU and USC do some battle out in Vegas. Every single day we're knocking out 2 LSU freshmen. So let's do today's.
Meet the freshmen. Freshmen, meet the freshmen. They're the newest Tigers on the team.
A couple of LSU defenders in today's edition of Meet the Freshmen. Incidentally, we only have 4 more editions of Meet the Freshmen to go. We'll start with C.J. Jackson today. C.J. Jackson, a 6'4", 240-pound edge rusher from Tucker, Georgia. On3 Sports had him number 19 edge rusher in the country. Georgia and Clemson were involved in his recruitment, but LSU was able to go into Georgia and pull him out. And LSU's had some real success in the state of Georgia over the years. You can list a lot of really good players LSU has gotten from the Peach State, from Kelvin. Oh my gosh, I can't think of his name. 11 Shepard. Just was not there. Kelvin Shepard, Kevin Minner, fantastic players. Vidal Alexander, really good player here. There's a ton of guys from the state of Georgia that have been great, and C.J. Jackson hopes to be the next among them. I thought the interesting nugget on C.J. Jackson was not necessarily about his high school football days or who was recruiting him or his height or weight or where he's from. He's planning on studying aviation. I didn't even know LSU offered an aviation course. I know I wasn't qualified to take it, that's for sure, but he wants to be a pilot when he's done playing football. I don't know how many 6'4", 240-pound pilots there are.
It's hard to fit usually in planes when you're that tall.
Dare to dream. Where do you have to sit in planes, by the way? Do you have to sit on the aisle?
I can sit in the middle. Usually my wife wants the window seat, and I'll sit next to her. So it's okay. It's not great. It's not a fun experience. The bathroom is pretty much unusable, but it's all right.
Well, CJ is going to be flying planes apparently, but hopefully he sacks some quarterbacks a few times in Baton Rouge before that happens. CJ Jackson, your first Meet the Freshman of the day. And then Devon Keys is second up here, a 6', 230-pound linebacker from Aledo, Texas. 4 stars by 24/7. ESPN had him as the number 14 linebacker in the country. Devon Keys' statistics in high school are amazing. He played very, very high-level football for Aledo, won 3 state titles there while he was in high school. He had 400 tackles, 40 TFLs, 9 interceptions. 4 of those were returned for touchdowns, and he ended up scoring 35 touchdowns in his high school career. So an exceptionally productive athlete on both sides of the ball, but LSU pulls him in to play some linebacker. You understand that Greg Penn will be moving on after this year, that Harold Perkins will be moving on after this year, and then West Weeks may or may not be back, and then you've kind of got Whit Weeks, and there are a lot of snaps to be had at linebacker moving forward into next year. We'll see if Devon Keys kind of factors into that. While he's at LSU, he plans on studying computer engineering, which is also incredible. These guys are ridiculous to be able to be this high-level football players to be offered to play at LSU and then to have these sort of ambitions in terms of their major. That's some impressive stuff. Computer engineering for Devon Keys. That's your two Meet the Freshmen for today. C.J. Jackson, the edge rusher from Georgia, and Devon Keys, the linebacker from Aledo, Texas. I don't know that either guy factors in big time on this year's team, but certainly a couple really talented players that should have nice times here in Baton Rouge. Still got to hit 6 more. Got Bernard Causey and Caden Durham tomorrow. Got Michael Turner and Kalaj Commons on Wednesday. And then Thursday we'll wrap things up with Xavier Atkins and Dominic McKinley. So some big names still to get to here on Meet the Freshmen. All right, Beck, I want to talk now a little bit before we get back into LSU and then some Saints talk about the Olympic final in men's basketball. I don't think it's hyperbolic to say that was one of the most amazing things I've ever watched on a basketball court. It was one of those moments that I don't think I'm going to forget for a very, very long time. And I would put it in a bucket with Ray Allen's corner 3 in the finals. I would put it in a bucket with watching Jordan over Russell for the Bulls and his send-off in Chicago. I would put it up there with LeBron scoring like 23 points in a row in that playoff game early in Cleveland. I would put it in with LeBron's chase down block off the glass, like just moments in basketball, like the Villanova 3 to win the championship at the buzzer, like moments in basketball that even though I didn't have a team, even though I would pull for Team USA, like just that seminal moment for Steph Curry in Paris against France in the gold medal game to hit those 4 threes and have that one be the 4th one, the rainbow over an outstretched defender after they had double teamed him. I don't think I'll forget that anytime soon. It was truly one of the most amazing things I've ever seen in basketball.
Yeah, it's hard to believe that after what he did in the semifinal game against Serbia, that performance would have been hard to follow up, and yet he came out and probably obviously had an even better game in this one. And it's funny. I saw a lot of people talking about the French announcer saying Steph Curry's the devil for us because he just keeps making these threes, and obviously probably a little bit of fun in there with the translation changing what it sounded like. But this game was really good. It was a really good game overall. It was close. The French were within 3 points. I think there was like 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter. They were within 3 points, so it was a good game, really close down to the wire. And then Steph Curry just has that late game flurry where he just starts making all these threes.
He makes the first one, which is like, okay, you probably shouldn't have left him open. That was a mistake. And then he makes the second one. And it's like, well, man. The third one he made was off a drive and kick. Who is helping off of Steph Curry?
Yeah.
What are you doing on defense? He just made 2 threes. He is quite literally the greatest shooter in the history of the world. And he just hit 2. And you help on a drive and give him an open look at the basket?
Yeah.
That's good. Tough. And then they did double team him the next time down the court. I can't really fault him for that one. I did get a chuckle. My dad did fill in as the cliche. He said, "Oh, that's terrible shot selection. Should have never shot it." It's like, well, right. I'm glad he did.
It's Steph Curry. He can shoot those.
He's a good shooter, the greatest shooter ever. And this is another thing, and there are 2 takes I have from this. One, there are very few people in sports that you can undisputedly say are the best. Like I can't. Who's the best hitter in baseball history? You can't tell me. Who's the best pitcher? You can't tell me. You can probably do it for quarterback.
Yeah.
I would probably listen to that with Tom Brady. But like, you can't tell me who the best cornerback is. I mean, most people would probably go with Dion, but Darrelle Revis would get some votes in that. Like, when you say best shooter, there is no other option. Like it's statistics, it's volume, it's clutch, it's like everything points to one guy. He is unequivocally the greatest shooter, and that's just very rare in sports that we know that guy's the best, unless it's like timed. Like I can say Usain Bolt's the best sprinter ever because no one's ever run that fast, and he did it routinely. But like in what would appear to be a subjective thing, objectively he is the best. It's nuts. And here's my takeaway from it. this is going to become the norm now with international basketball. When the Dream Team came out, it was really cool, but nobody could play with them. They beat everybody by 50. And then like the Redeem Team, I really loved watching them, and Spain did put up a bit of a fight there, but like once we determined we're sending our best guys, like it was no contest. I believe moving forward, international basketball will have a closer feel to international soccer than USA Gold and then who else is decent.
Yeah.
Like you're going to have real competitive games that matter and that the U.S. will have to really fight to win. LeBron ain't going to be there in L.A.
No.
Steph's not going to be there in L.A. Kevin Durant's not going to be there in L.A. Like, they're legends. And I think Anthony Edwards is really good. I think Jason Tatum's really good. But these are walking legends who are out there and can still play. Like, I think you're looking at us entering an era where international basketball competitions become really cool to watch for the competitive portion of it.
Yeah, Victor Wembanyama had an incredible game as well. He had 26 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal. So in 4 years from now, he's only going to be better, and you're going to have all the other Jokic's, the Doncic's, all these guys.
Canada's not bad.
Canada's pretty good. They've got a lot. They've got young players. I mean, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is one of the best guards in the league. So there's going to be, and yeah, like you said, the U.S. is going to have a changing of the guard in 2028. There's all these guys that are top 15, 20 players of all time are going to be gone, and it's going to be up to these younger guys to step up and prove that they belong. And I think you're right. I think it's going to be really, really, really close. I don't think the U.S. have, and we can talk about this too. The women's team, they probably should have lost. It was a really, really close game. They won by 1 point, and we did take it or leave it whether or not they're going to win. Another 60 games in a row, and they barely win.
It was a really poorly played game.
It was
I watched that game.
Yeah, it was.
The USA played bad, and France mucked it up, and like it was a really poorly played game. I think we're a long way away from there still, but the other thing that this will do, I think, in my opinion, is I think that you're going to get the best Team USA players to go play because it's not like a ceremonial thing to go over there and waste everybody's time, win by 40 and take your gold medal and go. Like, you got to go win it. And like it'll mean something. I don't know if the 96 team winning it after the Dream Team mattered. I don't know I don't know who was on the team. I don't know if that mattered at all. But I realized that the most important thing is to go ahead and play in your NBA season. That's who cuts your checks. But this is going to be really, really important. And I talk about entering the Olympics. I was like, I would rather watch the swimming. I'd rather watch the track than the basketball. That may not be true. Like, basketball is really awesome, and these countries are getting better. They take it really seriously, and they've got the talent to compete. I think the U.S. will be the favorite coming up in 4 years, but I think it's going to be really tough to win. And I think it makes things better when the best players in the world go play and go do it. The question is, can some of these foreign countries catch lightning in the bottle where they've got Jokic and another NBA All-Star? Like, it can't. You're gonna have trouble beating our guys if you have one NBA All-Star and then a bunch of guys who play in the European League. Like, you need to bring some guys who are stars, and that's a chance thing. These guys are already born, so like you gotta hope that you catch some lightning in the bottle there. The Spain team that the Redeem Team beat they had both Gasols.
They had a lot,
They had both Gasols, and they had Ricky Rubio and Rudy Fernandez. Like, they were okay, but I think it's really cool, and I'm not being hyperbolic when I say that was one of the coolest things I've ever seen when Steph did that, because for him, it was so important to him to play in this Olympics as his only chance. He hadn't played in previous ones because of injuries or whatever the case may be. And then for him to do that was just, when he does the sleep thing, like, I was at my house by myself, my wife and kid were at a baby shower, and I was like yelling at the TV. I was like, oh my God! It was just incredible theater, and it was really, really cool. So USA wins the gold medal in both basketballs and wins the most medals in the Olympics. Those are now all put to bed. All right, one of these stories that come out every single year are really cool, so we'll get to it next. Athlon anonymously spoke to different coaches around the SEC to get their candid takes on other teams in the league without their name attached to it. And I'll let you know what the opposing coaches had to say about LSU coming up next.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show.
Evolve Physical Therapy, EvolvePT.com. Robbie Bolton. Been running things as a physical therapist for about 2 decades. If you've had poor physical therapy experiences, whether you were injured playing sports, injured in an accident, just injured and having some pains, that you got, and you're not really sure how it happened, but you can't be your normal active self, and you went to the doc, and they said, yeah, go here, and they'll get you taken care of. And you went there, and it just didn't go very well. They kind of gave you a list of exercises, told you to come back next week, and we'll see. That's not going to be the case at Evolve Physical Therapy. One of Robbie Bolton's team, or him, is going to be with you from the time you walk in the door to the time you leave. And they're going to do everything they can to get you back to being your active self, whether it's a youth athlete in your family, whether you're an aging person who's just trying to get back out on the golf course, whether you're an ancient athlete that's had some injuries trying to play some hoops and you want to get back out there on the court. Robbie Bolton and his team can help you with it. They're on Starring near Highland Road. On Starring near Highland Road. You can check them out online, evolvept.com. It's Evolve Physical Therapy and Sports, evolvept.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
BRAC teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. BRAC, your #1 park system in the nation.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money.
On Tuesday's OTB, bring you the latest from LSU Tiger Training Camp. Plus, what do the Saints need to do in Game 2 to restore your hope? And our guy, Nick Underhill, talks of black and gold from California. Off the bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products.
I just thought of an idea. So we're about to do this segment on Athlon Sports anonymously sourcing opinions on SEC teams from assistant coaches around the SEC. And
yeah, I know where you're going with
I
this.
love this content. Where do you think I'm going with it?
we're gonna see if we're gonna try to guess who the coach is.
No, that's impossible, and we can never know if we're right. So here's my idea. I love this content. D1 Baseball does it every year in the super regionals with baseball teams, and it gives you candid evaluations of the teams from people that would know without the bulletin board nature of it going up because of you can put a name to it. If it's anonymous, then obviously no one knows exactly who said it. The other thing that opens the door to is this stuff being made up, which I don't want. I'm not accusing Athlon of that, but that has to linger in my mind. You can just take narratives and shape them any certain way and then kind of throw them up there if you wanted to. And that possibility kind of makes me feel queasy when I read it. But good news. I talk to every single LSU assistant coach during football season. I go up there and do a 3-minute interview for the pregame show. I'm just going to ask them, hey, have y'all ever done this before? And if 2 guys say, yeah, we've done that, I'm like, oh, this is great. Okay, I can take all that to the bank. Like, I don't know any of LSU's assistant coaches. I don't have any of their phone numbers. I don't know them at all. But I will speak with them as prearranged by Michael Bonnet coming up starting in 3 weeks. So I'm going to get to the bottom of this, and I'm going to see if anyone has ever done this, and I'll feel a little bit more convicted when I read these things. But let's talk about the quotes they got on LSU from anonymous coaches around the SEC. And I don't know if this is from 2 different people or 1 different person or 5 different people. None of the quotes are like, they're all just in like sentence form. So we'll just read them and we'll see what we think about it. They've sort of been off schedule, you could say. They had the Heisman quarterback a little too soon because if you plugged Daniels into this year 3 staff and roster, I think they could contend for a conference title and a playoff seed. That would suggest right there that this assistant coach thinks that LSU's defense is going to be a lot better. He would have really no way to evaluate Garrett Nussmeier unless he coached for Alabama last year or Georgia 2 years ago. But sounds like that's a guy who thinks that LSU's defense is going to be better based on his confidence in Bo Davis, Corey Raymond, and Blake Baker, which is interesting. This next quote kind of sheds more light on that. This is the best assistant coach roster that Brian Kelly's had at LSU and maybe the best of his entire career. It's a bunch of killers in recruiting, guys who are veteran culture builders in the league. That's very cool. And I think that's what all of us kind of believe about this staff as well. There are no guys other than kind of Joe Sloan to an extent that have been brought in here to do a job they have not done at an exceptionally high level elsewhere. Corey Raymond's done it everywhere. Bo Davis has done it everywhere. Blake Baker's got skins on the walls at other different places in other conferences. You understand what Brad Davis's reputation is. Cortez Hankton has had a great run here in the Southeastern Conference. So, this is a group of assistants that is very well respected around the sport and that we expect to do phenomenal things at LSU. So that's not a surprising quote. Here's a good one. Just a 1-sentence quote here. Joe Sloan's going to work out really nicely as the OC. I think we all kind of believe that to be true as well. He's never had it at this high-profile spot. He called some plays at Louisiana Tech. This is going to be a little bit different. But, again, I think and I will ask him about this when his time comes to be the assistant coach interview of the week. But I think that bowl game was a really nice test run for Joe Sloan. I think being able to build a game plan around the quarterback that he will have on this team, taking that month and understanding that's where things were headed, was a good opportunity for him to get his feet wet. Now, we know that there are going to be some changes this year with the communication and the helmet device, and some of that's going to be first time for him. It'll be the first time for a lot of people doing that type of thing. But Joe Sloan's very, very well respected. Again, he's the one guy who doesn't have as many skins on the wall in his current position as the other guys in that assistant group, but he's very well respected, and I think has done a great job since he's gotten to LSU, so that's a cool thing. Next quote, the quarterback isn't as talented as Daniels, but he can manage the talent around him. That seems like kind of a vanilla quote, not a lot to that. It's kind of a game manager tag you're tossing on Garrett Nussmeier, which you certainly wouldn't have 3 years ago when he got here, and he was very much in the gunslinger mold. But there is a lot of talent around Garrett Nussmeier, and I think he's going to do a good job with that. So I would tend to agree with that assessment. And then there's the last one. They could still make the playoff as an at-large this season if the defense gels the way it looks. Blake is a sharp guy. They could be brutal to play by season's end. Man, I'm hoping for that. I think a lot of y'all Well, I don't know how many people are still listening an hour and 24 minutes later. There are probably a good number of you that heard the open to my show today. And I explicitly expressed some real concern with LSU's ability to cover. When I've been going out to practice and watching a lot of these drills, the offense is absolutely dominating in the route trees. And I repeatedly said I understand that a lot of these drills that they're doing benefit the offense, and I'm baking that into my take. But I'm concerned. However, I do think Corey Raymond's a good coach, and I do see that the LSU defense is performing much better in 11-on-11 as opposed to 1-on-1s and 2-on-2s and 7-on-7s. But I'm still concerned. And when you hear that quote, that they could be brutal to play by the end of the season, potentially there's just some development that goes on because these coaches are so good. That's mainly what I took away from this entire piece, is that there's just a lot of confidence from outside of LSU looking at LSU in the staff. You hear they got the best assistant coach roster. Sloan's going to work out nicely as the OC. They could still make the playoff because Blake's a sharp guy. Like, you continue to hear both sides of the ball, a lot of confidence in LSU's coordinator group. Now, is the roster there yet? We'll find out. We will find out. It might be a resounding no. It might be a yes. And unfortunately, it could be right there in the middle where it's not early and maybe USC and Ole Miss get them, but it is late and they beat Oklahoma. Like, we just don't know. That's what we'll find out in the fall, if the roster's there ready to do it. But I thought that there were some interesting things there looking at LSU. I briefly want to just look at Alabama because I thought that was probably the most interesting other team to look at as far as anonymous takes. There are a few quotes, and I'll rip through them a lot more quickly than I did the LSU side of things before we get to Sean Fazan. There's so much change, it's hard to know how to scout them right now. That's the opposite of what Alabama was for 15 years. It was just a pillar of reloading. The biggest win is keeping Milroe around. That was a no-brainer for him after watching what that staff was able to get out of Michael Penix Jr. The biggest talk right now is about the end of the Alabama discount, where guys wouldn't jump into the portal or wouldn't push for more NIL because Nick Saban's track record for NFL development was so good. That's not around anymore, so they've got to get organized. That's talking about from an NIL perspective. That is the different perspective of Alabama. They still have a ton of money. They still have a gorgeous stadium, unbelievable facilities, a great fan base, a great place to go to college. They've got all those things, but they don't have the guy who could sell you a for sure bill of goods on consistent performance, winning development in NFL guys. And that's no longer there. Kalen DeBoer can put that red shirt on. He can sit in that big office with the button on the desk that opens and closes the door. He can even eat little Debbie snaps if he wants to. But he's not Nick Saban. And they're going to have to build that over time, which I think is interesting. Last quote here on Bama. This is still a very talented conference title caliber roster. There are some big questions like offensive line, but they're not just going to fall off the face of the earth. The question is, if they have a bump, how patient is the fan base? That is the most fascinating thing of this whole deal. Because you go 10-2 and lose in the first round of the playoffs, that is a flat-out failure. You do that in Oxford, Mississippi, you're the toast of the town. You do that in Baton Rouge this year, I think people will feel pretty good about it. That happens in College Station, Texas, hell yeah. That happens in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, you have failed. That's a tough spot. Jay Johnson lives in that shadow. He knows. It's just part of having that job, and this is part of having the Alabama job. But it's still fascinating to see how the fans handle it. And I will probably DVR this Feinbaum show. First game they lose. Just being candid. That's probably what I'll do. And if they lose a third game, I might have to cancel my show and just sit there and watch the Feinbaum show. Won't be able to wait until I get off at 3. Way too good. But we'll see. If you want to read that piece, you can do so over at athlonsports.com. Sean Fazan out in Cali with the New Orleans Saints. Saints win their preseason opener. What were Sean's takeaways? We'll talk to him coming up next.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show.
Always love telling you about ESPN Bet. Every shot, every goal, ESPN Bet has fans covered for the biggest moments on the road to a championship. The exclusive sportsbook of ESPN is the only place where you can find special offers and promotions from your favorite ESPN shows and personalities throughout the summer months. New users can get a bet reset up to $1,000 in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. So download ESPN Bet today. What a play. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700. In partnership with the Bears Lake Charles. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Farming is a way of life for us. It's not something we get up in the morning and dread going do. It's just something we go to bed at night looking forward to getting up to go do. John Deere equipment is what we as farmers strive to have. So it's in your blood, it's in your veins. It's just a part of who you are. Green is what we want to be in. The other tractors were acquired to patch it up to get to where you want to be. Where we want to be is in John Deere. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985.
Moscona inviting you to join us for Monday's AFR, presented by Relief Windows. The Tigers kick off a new week of fall camp. We'll have a practice report, and we'll recap Saints-Cardinals from the preseason. Join us Monday, 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products.
Playing those Steph Curry threes on the highlight reel on ESPN, just incredible theater from Steph over there in Paris, France. Team USA wins the gold. Saints didn't win the gold on Saturday. They did win their preseason opener. Sean Fazan, been out west covering the Saints for Fox 8, joins us now on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Sean, thanks for the time. How are you? Sean, you there?
I'm here.
There we go. All right, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
I'm good. You still out in Cali?
Yeah.
Are you sick of it yet?
We're back from Arizona. We're here in I guess technically this is Newport Beach where we're staying at right now. But no, not sick of it. No. I like it. The weather's pretty good out here.
That's what I hear. I can't relate. Okay, was there one takeaway that was most impactful from Saturday's game?
I would say the realest thing, or the thing that translated the most, that I think could have a tangible impact the most from practice to game was the pass rush promise, the activity in the front seven on defense. I mean, that's been real all camp. And when you see, look, they didn't go against the starting quarterback. We know that. So you don't get too far ahead of yourself. But it was good to see that translate from practice to game because that doesn't always happen. And I just think they've invested so much in that group up front. They need to start seeing the fruits of that labor a little bit. And I think you saw that, and not just with the front four, but also the linebackers as well. The linebacker group has had a really fantastic camp as well. So that's probably the realest thing I saw. I mean, there's other things certainly to like and dislike, but the most tangible thing that I think can translate potentially to big things in regular season was that.
Which players would you point to that would have the biggest impact in pass rush and being disruptive up front that maybe didn't have as much of an impact last year?
Well, I mean, 99 wasn't here last year.
Nope.
So he's the one. He's the one because, I mean, yeah, you saw him. Look at him. I mean, he looks the part. Certainly plays the part. I don't know if he had an official stat, but he was active Saturday night. He's been fantastic in camp. And I said this earlier in camp. We're so accustomed to a star player, an injury diagnosis later that we didn't necessarily know about, and that player having a delayed timeline based on the projected timeline. It always gets delayed. Well, in his case, it was the exact opposite. He came back earlier than expected, and he's been fantastic at camp. So he's the one for me because he wasn't there last year. And then you look at Carl Granderson. He's been probably one of the more underrated players on the team, but he's very active up front. And then Brazil had a good rookie year, especially towards the end, but I thought he was very active as well Saturday, and that certainly contributes to pass rush as well. It's really about that front four getting that pass rush. So you don't have to commit to blitzing quite as much with that, in certain situations. So that's what they're gunning for. That's what they're hoping for.
Yeah, Brazil was a positive on my sheet as I was watching the game and talked about it a little bit earlier in the show. Let's go to the offensive side. Did you make anything of the new look offense under Clint Kubiak, or did it appear to be pretty vanilla to you?
I saw nothing.
Yep,
because,
that's what
frankly, that was absolutely nothing from what we've seen in camp for the 14 practices. This offense is based off play action. It's based off wide zone. It's based off motion and shifting. I saw one outside zone play, the very first play of the game. One very, very simple motion from Foster Moreau. I'm talking about the first 9 snaps that Derek Carr was in the game. And then there was one play action. That was the screen pass that they dirted to Alvin Kamara. So that was as watered down and as vanilla as you could get, because I don't even know if that's in the regular season playbook based off of what I saw the first 9 snaps. So that was absolutely nothing compared to what they were doing in the first 13, 14 practices we were able to see.
On the negative side of my ledger, just too many big misses for Trevor Penning for me. What did you see from the big right tackle?
A little up and down. I don't like the idea that he's getting beat through power sometimes, power bull rush. It looks like he's losing some leverage under his pads. That's a concern for me, considering some of those guys he's going up against were a little bit lighter than him. That's certainly a concern. I think he's pretty fluid in the run game, and it's always been a part of his game. I think the team is still kind of up and down with him in terms of where they stand. They want him to win that job. They want him to take that job. They want him to be someone they can count on. But, I mean, there are some issues that he has still that he's got to work through. I didn't think it was an awful performance by Trevor, but I do think there's still some issues he's got to clean up. And I think that's still a concern as you get into the third year with a guy that, this is kind of his last shot as they move over to right tackle.
What is the plan B there if he just can't do it?
I don't know. That's an issue because I don't know if the plan B is on the roster if that's the case, because there's still some legit concerns on offensive line depth, which is a concern throughout the NFL. All 32 NFL teams aren't enough quality NFL offensive linemen, first team and second team, honestly. So that's an issue. Landon Young has been playing some right tackle. Aliudo can pick out some right tackle as well. So that's an issue. So if they determine they cannot depend on him, I think they're going to have to look at some options that may or may not be on the roster at this point.
Number 3 wide receiver has been a battle that we've kind of had an eye on. What did you see from the wide receiving core on Saturday?
Well, look, I think A.C. Perry helped himself. He had a really slow start to camp. Last, call it 6 practices or so, and plus Saturday's game, I think he helped himself kind of reintroduced himself back to the wide receiver room, and he had a lot of opportunity because they were so down in that room right now, just with sheer numbers, down to 6 wide receivers. You only have 12 and 13 in a preseason game. I don't know if he's the true 3. I think he's battling for the 3. For me, the number 3 is Cedric Wilson. I just think from a blocking standpoint, he's fantastic, and he's a veteran, kind of the veteran of that group, and that's a real young core right there at receivers. So I think Cedric Wilson right now would be in the lead for 3. But I think A.T. Perry kind of comfortably put himself back in the mix, probably for the number 4 spot. And then based off certain personnel groupings and situations, see how much he would get from a snap standpoint. So I think right now that's you probably honing in on at that 3 position. It's Wilson and A.T. Perry.
Sean Fazan, our guest, talking Saints. Backup quarterback's always a fun discussion this time of year because the starter spends a lot of time on the sideline. What did you see from Haener and Rattler?
That was a continuation of the Thursday's practice, where it's very spirited between both those guys. Both those guys got a 2-minute drill. Both those guys let them down to touchdowns. Both those guys were very animated after, and that's a real battle. I mean, both those guys have really did well, and both of them we all saw they led the 2-minute drill. Haener gets the field goal towards the end of the half. Obviously Rattler at the end of the game, he gets the field goal. Leads them down and gets the field goal to close out the game. But both those guys had issues. I mean, look, Rattler started hot, and then those middle 2 or 3 drives, there were some issues there, just kind of getting through his reads. I thought Haener early on was a little quick through his reads, flying through them, and it kind of jumbled him up in his processing a little bit. I thought he got better as the game went on. So it's a legit battle. I mean, I think you see arm talent-wise, it's Rattler, but I think you see why Haener's made this a battle because he kind of understands the system. He processes pretty well. So I think it's going to come down to the wire. Probably one more preseason game, you'll probably see those roles flip in the next preseason game. Let Rattler go with the 2s and Haener go with the 3s, depending on the practice rotation, probably for the next game. So I think it's been a pretty fun battle, though.
We got the announcement today that there will be no joint practices, a little banged up in San Francisco. So what was this week supposed to look like, and now what will it look like for New Orleans?
Well, yeah, it was supposed to be the joint practices Thursday, Friday. So they'll get back on the practice field tomorrow, go Tuesday to Friday, probably go a little lighter on Friday as they travel Saturday. So, look, it's been a pretty physical camp. I mean, the beautiful surroundings are fantastic and the weather's fantastic, but don't lose sight of the fact it's been a really physical camp. A lot of padded practices. They've gone at it in camp here. So I would expect nothing less this week. But it's tough to not get those joint practices in because a lot of those guys get a lot out of it. And in San Francisco, they're obviously a very well-respected team in the NFL. But not going to happen. If you recall, last year happened the same thing with Houston.
Yeah.
Is that correct, Chris? Houston? Yeah, DeMeco Ryans, his team got a little banged up, Saints too. So they had that second wave of joint practice they were supposed to have with Houston got called off as well. So not unprecedented, but it's tough to not get that joint work in.
Any injury updates over the last 48 hours? We've kind of been looking at the same guys for a couple of weeks. Is there anybody that looks like they're close to getting back?
We'll probably get a little more of an update tomorrow. Okay. I'm really curious to see about Werner getting back at the linebackers. There's some soft tissue guys that's been a concern out here because I think some guys have been a little low to look at a false sense of security with the perfect temperatures and maybe not necessarily doing the hydration thing as much as they should. I think that's caught up to a few guys here. So I mean, you're for a couple guys, just like a guy like Kendrick Miller. I mean, he hasn't practiced yet. It's time for him to get back on the field. Shaheed, kind of know what he brings, but it'd be nice to get him back. DeMario's a veteran. I don't necessarily need to see a whole lot from DeMario, but his presence certainly matters. So we'll see. Hopefully a couple of those guys can get back. A guy like Bo Bean in the receiver room, I mean, he's got to battle for a roster spot. He's got to get back on the field as well. So we'll get a clearer update on Tuesday.
Sean, we appreciate the time.
All right, no problem.
He's Sean Fazan, Fox 8 down in New Orleans. Been out there whole time with the black and gold and will remain out there until they come back to South Louisiana. So it was going to be a great opportunity for New Orleans to get out there and get some joint practice in with San Francisco. He's got such a great roster and great depth. That would have been good for the Saints, but unfortunately San Francisco is just too beat up to do it. So Saints will put their traditional training camp practices together by themselves and get ready for another preseason game this weekend. All right, we'll come back and close it out. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. Maybe you moved a couple years ago and locked in a great interest rate and you're not really in a hurry to move, but you could use an upgrade here or there. How about a brand new bathroom? Be a fantastic addition to your home. There's only one call you got to make. It's One Bath and Closets. David Duvall and his team handle it from soup to nuts, as he says. They start you and they finish it. No other contractor needs to be involved. Starts with a great process in their consultation. That's free. Tell them the Hunt Palmer Show sent you over there. That's $1,000 off. And then you get started. And he can do something as complicated as a full-scale bathroom renovation or something simple like a tub-to-shower conversion. If you don't ever use your tub and it's kind of dingy and dirty and doesn't look all that great and you don't use it, get rid of it. Put in a gorgeous glass walk-in shower. Adds value to your home. Changes the aesthetic of your bathroom. Changes the functionality of your bathroom as well. It all starts with that free consultation. Get it online at OneBathAndClosets.com. OneBathAndClosets.com.
Get the 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge app powered by Bayou Ford and tap the microphone icon to send us your thoughts in an audio message. Your message could be played on air during Off the Bench with Esther and T-Bob, The Hunt Palmer Show, and after further review with Matt Moscone.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after-hours emergency. The light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscone. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local.
Coming up on Tuesday's OTB. Bring you the latest from LSU Tiger training camp. Plus, what do the Saints need to do in Game 2 to restore your hope? And our guy, Nick Underhill, talks of black and gold from California. Off the bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
Rev delivers our coverage live from Las Vegas starting Friday, August 30th with Off the Bench and After Further Review, and continuing Sunday, September 1st with Eagle 98.1 Game Day. Our coverage is also presented by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. Watch us live on the 104.5 ESPN YouTube channel. Kick off the 2024 LSU football season live from Las Vegas with Rev 104.5 and ESPN Baton Rouge. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and Citizens Bank and Trust are looking for the ultimate tailgate. Snap a pic of your setup and upload it to 1045ESPN.com for a chance to win a $500 Rouse's gift card. Our judges will select a winner on August 29, just a few weeks from now. It's the ultimate tailgate giveaway from Rouse's Market, Citizens Bank and Trust, and 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products.
Shout out Gulf Coast Office Products, GCOPnet.com, printing, copying, scanning. They got you covered at Gulf Coast Office Products anywhere in the state of Louisiana, no matter the field that you are in. Give your printing, scanning, and copying needs a look at Gulf Coast Office Products. They handle all of our things here at Guarantee, and it's fantastic. Trey's a wonderful dude, and they're a great company here in the state of Louisiana. Gulf Coast Office Products, GCOPnet.com, printing, scanning, copying, Gulf Coast Office Products. All right, take it or leave it.
All right, first one here. It was announced over the weekend that Jim Harbaugh will be the honorary captain for Michigan's home opener against Fresno State. Take it or leave it.
So they don't have a game until the next week, so you can be in Ann Arbor, I guess. I'll take it. Look, I mean,
I'll take it.
You're not going to convince anybody in Ann Arbor that Jim Harbaugh is a cheater. That's just not going to happen. Jim Harbaugh is the prodigal son who came home and built a power and won a championship, and he will be revered for that forever. They're not going to worry about the fact that there were flagrant violations going on right under his nose.
And then he left right after.
Right. They're going to love him forever. So it doesn't matter like what anybody else thinks in Columbus, Ohio, or Happy Valley, Pennsylvania. It just matters what you think internally. He won games. Even if they went back and vacated the championship, nobody would care because they watched it, they saw it, they experienced it, it was there. So, yeah, just lean into it, embrace the whole thing. That's fine with me, Michigan. Go get it.
All right, next one here. U.S. gymnast Jordan Childs has been ordered by the IOC to return her bronze medal that she earned on floor exercise because the appeal her coaches made to ask for a score revision, which got her the bronze, was done in 1 minute and 4 seconds, while the limit to make an appeal is 1 minute flat. Take it or leave it.
I got to leave that. I understand there have to be rules in place and procedures that have to go on. But if we're talking 4 seconds here and we know who actually deserves the bronze medal, I think we can let that slide. We come back 2 weeks and they appeal, we're probably not gonna listen to that. We're done. It's over. 4 seconds. Let's be adults. Let's use some common sense and let's get this right.
Yeah, and apparently the U.S. Gymnastics are going to be making an appeal to this decision because they say they have evidence that the appeal was actually made in 43 seconds.
Okay,
so,
well, if that's the case, we'll get who's got the bronze now?
Well,
Did we
she
give it to
has
somebody
it.
else?
She has it right now. Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll see what happens with that.
Does someone else get it?
Yes. So if the appeal is upheld, then sure she would have her original score, and then the girl who actually won the bronze in the first place, she would get it back basically.
See, this to me though, my biggest beef with this is going to be if this takes 2 weeks.
Yeah.
This should take 1 hour. 1 hour.
Yeah.
We either have the video and we can figure it out or not. But there need to be 6 people involved to take 1 hour of time and we can get this done. But it's going to be like everything the NCAA ever does. It just takes forever. It's ridiculous.
All right, last one here. Dan Orlovsky says Joe Burrow has the best mechanics and ball placement in the NFL. The Bengals will win the AFC North. Take it or leave it.
I'll take it. I like the Bengals this year. I know that Baltimore's good. I still don't think Pittsburgh's going to be very good, and I don't trust Cleveland, even though they had a really good defense last year. But yeah, Orlovsky ranked the top quarterbacks by different skill sets, used a lot of different metrics, and he liked Joe Burrow a lot and had him as the best mechanics in the NFL and the best ability to put the ball where the defense cannot get it. And I would agree. He does that very, very well. Tua Tagovailoa ranks really high in that category. But yeah, I think Joe needs to practice, and he's been able to do that. He needs to start the season off on a quality note, which they haven't done really in his time there. So I'm hopeful that my Bengals, I'm just such a diehard, dyed-in-the-wool Bengals fan.
Yep.
I'm hopeful that they get it rolling right out of the chute because, as you're well aware, and I always talk about this when I talk about the Bengals, every time you lose a game, you're making the odds better that you have to go to Arrowhead, and that's just a nightmare. So they need to get off to a good start. That's certainly the hope here, that they certainly do that. All right, that's it for a Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Open things up talking about practice on Saturday and today for LSU. I was pretty direct with my thoughts on where LSU secondary is. I may be the only one whose practice reports indicate that. It's just how I feel. So if you want to go back and catch that segment, you can catch it at the top of our show, anywhere you find your sound, or you can wait and see when it goes up at Hunt on LSU on YouTube. All of our LSU football content ends up right there. Second segment, I gave my takeaways from the Saints' preseason win, the opener. I didn't think there was a ton to chew on there, but there was a little bit. Blake Baker sound at 1:30. My thoughts on Matt Kuchar finishing the golf tournament by himself this morning. Meet the freshmen and some Olympics takes in hour number 2, as well as SEC coaches anonymously talking about LSU. And then Sean Fazan chimed in on what he thought about the Saints opener. You can catch that on YouTube, Hunt on Saints. Matt's going to drive you home on After Further Review. Start your week off with that. We're back here same time and same place. Have a wonderful Monday. We'll see you tomorrow on the Hunt Palmer Show.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, brand new sponsor here on the Hunt Palmer Show. Jonathan Carbo and his team right here in Baton Rouge. If you're looking for commercial property and casualty insurance, they have it. If you're looking for employee and group benefits, they've got you covered on that as well. I was talking to Jonathan last week, and he says, look, if you're looking for some sort of silver bullet on auto insurance or property insurance to cut your rate by 20%, it's probably not worth a call. But if you're looking for a trusted insurance advisor to be part of your team and put together your commercial insurance program, Jonathan Carbo and his team at Highland Insurance Group will do that for you. If you don't know what employment practice liability insurance is, or what cyber insurance is, or an umbrella or D&O, you know how to run your business, but you don't know what any of that is, well, you need to know that kind of stuff. Allow Jonathan Carbo and his team to be your insurance broker. It's Highland Insurance Group. You can check them out online at highlandig.com. It's the Highland Insurance Group online, highlandig.com.
There it is, the extra